Welcome to this video, which is all about how to trade Forex for beginners. Now, in terms of today's video, if you want to get started, in terms of Forex trading, the tips themselves will give you the right attitude to the markets, i.e. how you see the markets. You'll see the reality, and also in the tips are what I consider to be important points to keep in mind in terms of any trading strategy that you choose to use. The tips themselves will basically, in my view, give you a simple framework that can lead you to consistent profits. Now, also in today's tutorial, a number of people have asked me, I keep saying Forex trading is simple, analysis is simple, and so forth. Could I just show a little bit of the analysis I do each day? So I'm just going to show what I'm doing today in our member centre, just for people who are unfamiliar with us. And then what I wanted to do is to just basically go out of this video with some quotes, which are from one of my favourite traders, Curtis Faith. And in the quotes are everything you need to know in terms of how to educate yourself, in terms of strategy, mindset, etc., to make sure that you make money. And my belief is that anyone can make money from the Forex markets. Now, in terms of the tips, I'm going to put them up on a screen now and just walk you through them. And then you will see why they can lead you to trading success. So let's take a look at them. Okay, here are my 10 Forex beliefs, which I believe can lead anyone to consistent FX profits. Now, in terms of them, they're actually beliefs in terms of how you approach the markets, how you apply your strategy. Now, in terms of point number one, Forex trading is simple but not easy, however anyone can win. It sounds paradoxical, but it's easily explained by the turtle trading experiment, where Richard Dennis, very famous trader, taught a group of people who'd never traded before to trade in 2 weeks. He gave them some money. They made him several $100 million. Now, in terms of when the turtles were interviewed, they all said, the strategy was extremely simple, but applying it was the hard part, because, Forex trading basically goes against our natural emotional makeup. It brings out our emotions. You have to keep them under control. And the turtles said, that was the harder part. Strategy, learning it was the easy part. They were able to apply the strategy with discipline because they fully understood the logic it was based upon, and they had faith in it to work longer term. And they were losing around 70% of their trades, so they had to stay disciplined and focused, which they did. Okay, now in terms of what you take from point number one, it's worth looking up the turtle experiment if you're just a beginner coming in the markets. Is once you've read it or read up on the experiment, you know that you are capable of winning. It's not going to be a walk in the park, because obviously making money is never just easy, so to speak. It can be done, but it requires that you do the right things. Now, you only need a simple strategy, and all you have to do is execute it with discipline, okay, to win. Which leads me to point number two. You have to research an edge in your trading strategy. Now, what I mean by that is the turtles could only stick with their strategy because they understood its edge over the longer term. You must do that for yourself. You can't follow anyone else. Once you've done that, your strategy can be very simple, but what it will allow you to do is forget about the money and focus on executing the plan or the rules of your strategy. Now, in terms of the money, too many traders when they come in the markets are so focused on their balance, whether it's going up in a few minutes or a few days or going down or whatever. Now, they're normally doing this because they're over leveraged or they don't have total faith in their edge. Professional traders know that if they just focus on executing their plan, money is going to come longer term. They don't bother about individual losses or if they get a string of losses. They just focus executing the plan with discipline. Now, point number three is really connected to points 1 and 2. No one's view of the market is better than yours. It isn't. Okay, once you've got a strategy with an edge, do not be put off by other people. You very often see traders, they've got the trade they think looks good, then they hear a wise economist in the media have an opposite view, they don't do the trade did what they thought. Always forget about all these learned people in the media. They're just giving opinions and basically reflecting the consensus view, and the majority of traders lose. You've got to be your own person. Point number 4, chart analysis. Keep it simple, keep it quick. If you've got a simple strategy with an edge, you should know what to do when you look at the chart within seconds. There's nothing to think about. If you have to think about it, there's nothing there. When I say keep it simple, you get a lot of traders who want to overcomplicate their analysis, and of course think about the trade because they think they're putting more effort in. That's going to mean that they've got a higher chance of success. It's absolute nonsense. It doesn't apply in Forex trading. You see a lot of when you see people analysing charts online, 20, 30 lines, it might do this, it might do that. No, you have a set view of what you think it's going to do or not, and that's it. And never ever put too much on a chart. Just focus on big levels of support and resistance. I would normally only draw 3 levels of support and resistance. One is going to be a level where I enter the trade. One is going to be a level behind where I put my stop, and the other is my target. That's it. So the chart analysis, very simple, very quick. 5, filter the chart. In terms of price action trading, I really think you gain an edge if you know what's going on behind the chart, or get a deeper insight into the chart. And I've done 3 filters. Sentiment, for example, if you see a good breakout forming up, or breakout opportunity forming up on your chart, okay, and then you look at the sentiment, you find everyone thinks that breakout is going to come, then it probably is going to fail, isn't it? Because everyone else has seen it. With many chart setups, if it's obvious to everyone else, it's obviously wrong, okay? Fundamentals, they drive the chart. Just knowing when big news events are coming, for example, can keep you out of trouble, or you could trade them. So you've got news coming out, market thinks is really, really bullish, or it's going to be bullish, and they're looking for a currency to go up. Might be an idea to fade the move, because you know that everyone is expecting the economic news to be bullish. You could also use indicators, in my view, sparingly. I always look at momentum, for example, to just gauge the strength of a trend, or volatility to see how far prices have moved, maybe from a moving average. Just seeing if greed or fear are present just helps filter the chart. Now, in terms of point number 6, stops are as important as entries. They are. Lots of traders, or most traders, are focused just purely on getting the best entry. The stop is an afterthought. Stop is just as important. It needs to be far enough away to give you good protection. However, it shouldn't be too close that you get stopped out by a minor retracement, or in an area where other traders have clustered their stops, because they'll get taken as well. So as much thought in terms of the stop as the entry. Point 7, Curtis Faith boxing and the Deadliest Catch TV show. This is really to do with how you view the market. Curtis Faith, one of the original Turtles, said that the market will do everything to mess with your head psychologically. It will, because obviously it brings out emotions. He sort of made a contrast with boxing. You're getting battered around, you're on your own, but you need to basically stick to what you're doing in terms of your strategy, hold your discipline to keep going longer term. Now, the important point in the boxing, I think, is you're on your own. You're in the ring on your own. You've got no comforts with you. Now, when I say comforts, I mean a lot of traders like comforts to make them feel they're not alone. So, for example, I've mentioned it earlier, they'll overcomplicated chart, it comforts them. Okay, the fact they have to think a little bit more comforts them. See, old traders, 3 or 4 monitors, some for prices, others for all the latest news. They've got fancy software packages. It's just comfort. They just want to get the responsibility away from them. from points 1 to 6, we know that being on our own is a good thing. There's no way around it. You're on your own. If you've got confidence in your strategy and confidence in yourself, you know you're going to win. Deadliest Catch TV show. It's about Alaskan fishermen in the Arctic, and it's a very hostile environment, just as the Forex markets are. They respect the ocean. They don't always get the fish that they want, or sometimes no fish at all. But they know longer term that the ocean is going to provide them with a living. It's going to frustrate them, but it's going to provide them with a living. And I think you have to see Forex trading in that way as well. Sometimes you're not going to get any profits of significance. Other times you're going to get nothing at all but losses from the market. But over the longer term, you're going to make money. Okay. In terms of the fishermen, they all love the ocean. A lot of traders do not like the market. They get angry at it. They treat it as a personal nemesis, i.e. it's personal to them when they lose. It isn't. The market, I really consider it kind of like a friend, in terms of that it can provide you with money over the longer term. So why wouldn't you like it? So I think, it's just my sort of contrast, but I think, a lot of people might agree with it. Anyway, moving on to point number 8, calling an end to the game, counter trade equity. Got to call an end to the game. Lots of traders hang on too long when they've got profits, and also when they've got losses. Losses small, take your profits. I put account and trade equity. Sure, your individual trades are important, but suddenly if all your trades give you a good amount of money that you didn't expect, just take it off the table. Now, I'm all for taking money off the table all the time, and you're never going to be perfect when you're trading. So, if you've got what you wanted, be happy. Concentrated focus is not easy to maintain. Concentrated focus means you're trading with discipline at all times. Your discipline doesn't break. Now, a lot of traders trade well for good periods of time, and then suddenly they do a stupid trade. And then when you ask them why, they say, well, this time I thought it would be different. That's one of the most expensive phrases ever in trading. You've always got to maintain discipline. Always. For instance, I keep some rules that I adhere to. I also read a lot of books on psychology, on the great traders to motivate me, keep me focused, and stop me doing stupid things. That's just my personal way of doing it. You must maintain discipline at all times. There are no exceptions. You're unique. I'm unique. Everyone is. So your strategy should maximize your strengths and minimize your weaknesses. So, for example, if you're not a patient person, you don't want to be long-term trend following, do you? You'd be doing a shorter-term strategy that suits you, like a swing trading strategy. That's just one example. However, you can't follow anyone else. Your strategy must really match you. You must believe your edge, and that will enable you to make long-term profits from the markets. So those 10 beliefs, if you have them in your mind at all times, I think they can lead you to consistent profits. I'll back up those 10 tips there. Now, I think personally, if you keep them in mind in terms of your attitude to the markets, the way you trade, the way you research a strategy and implement it, they can lead you to success. Now, in terms of my sort of analysis of the markets and so forth, I keep it pretty simple. I do not like anything complicated. And what I also like to do when I'm analysing the markets is question everything, okay? In terms of what the media might think of it or other traders. I don't want to really be with the crowd. So in terms of my analysis, what I'm going to do now, just for people who are unfamiliar with us, I'm just going to give a quick overview of our member centre, and you'll just see how simple the charting is. So we'll just do a quick review of the member centre, and then we'll come back. We'll look a little bit more at Curtis Faith, and also I'll give you those quotes that I think are really fantastic in terms of education for success and also motivation. But here's a quick look what I'm doing in the member centre today. Our member centre, what I want to do just briefly is explain the techniques that we teach and also how we do our charting how simple it is. Now, in terms of our trading techniques, they're contained in the PDF download section, and what we do here is just basically summarize our view of technical analysis, how it should be used. We also have other PDFs on how to use sentiment, how to incorporate the fundamentals if you wish into your trading, money management, of course, options, trading with discipline. So basically all in bite-sized chunks. It totals, or the PDFs total, about 250 pages. Now the techniques in these PDFs we've used for since the late 80s, however long that is, probably a long time. Our strategy hasn't changed, the techniques we use haven't changed. The logic of them is easy to understand and have confidence in, our view. And we got some videos as well, video section that backs up what is in the PDFs. Now, in terms of our analysis, just go back. The first report of the day is the daily market update, which I write for 10:30 each day GMT. And basically what I'm looking at in the morning is I spend about an hour looking at the news and reading up on the sentiment towards Forex pairs. Now, as I said earlier, sentiment is very important. If everyone's bullish, let's say a breakout on a chart, it's probably going to go wrong, so you've got to be careful. So I use the sentiment to filter the chart. Also, in terms of sentiment, I can project possibly where a turning point might come or how far a trend might run. Also, obviously, news events impact as well. So, the first text is really just the general view of the day, and then we go through each currency from a technical perspective and any news in relation to that currency that might be important. Everything is done technically, so I'm just going to go through the major currencies here that we track in the daily market update. We've also got across this section as well. So here's Euro USD, and you'll notice there aren't too many lines on the chart. The lines, or the levels of support and resistance, are dictated, like I said, by the actual price action, but also sentiment and the big fundamentals are taken into account as well. And we also use some indicators to maybe reinforce our view. In terms of Euro USD, we think she's going down. We've sold her. However, she hasn't really moved much from where we entered, so we're just hanging around in this one. GBP USD, we're flat. If you saw the weekly analysis, got that nice move down. Now what I want to do, so long as this resistance level holds, I'm going to come through this level and I want to go to that level, okay? Now, quite specific here, break at 124.80, stop 126.35, target 122.50. So that for us now goes in as a pending order, and we'll wait to see if it's triggered. Now, this is the daily market update. We'll do a PM update as well, so we'll see if that one is triggered into the market. AUD USD, we've gone short here. In terms of where we are now, we're just about where we sold her. Quite an ambitious target. However, I'm using the CFTC Net Trader Sentiment Indicator to give me this level. Now, in terms of favourite pair at the moment, undoubtedly USD JPY. Anyone who's seen our videos on YouTube, I know we've been pretty bearish of this one. Since we got up to this 118 level, first trading at 117.65, we're now down at 112. Now, latest trade is 114.25. Stop moves down to entry. We don't move stops to entry unless there's a key level that's going to stop price in between. So we don't just do it for the sake of doing it. It has to be back behind a key level where we think the USD is not going to rally to. On this one, we've done what we do very often. We run two trades, we bank 50% out. So we're short at 114.25, so we're going to bank out 50% at 112.51. We're still in if we run down. However, if we bounce, which we think we will, we're going to put it back in a better price at 113.50. This level here is dictated by my technical analysis, this from the CFTC Net Traders, and also the big fundamentals. Okay, last pair in this section, USD CAD. We're bullish. Again, stop, sorry, is an entry in at 130.55. Target up here, 133.20, first major level of resistance for us. We did a 50-50 bank out at 132, placed her back in at 131.40, so get in at a better price. Also, if you do this, not only can you stay with the trend if it runs on, but coming in at a better price, obviously great if the trend runs on. If we hit stop, we should come out with something. So yeah, that's our daily market update. And in terms of the majors, I mean, obviously everyone likes to, or the majority of traders like to trade the majors. We also like to trade the crosses as well. So cover 4 crosses. Again, it is the same format. Again, you'll see an absence of trend lines. Okay, so our charts are very, very clean. Okay, the levels are dictated, as I said, by sentiment, possibly fundamentals, possibly, but also our reading of some simple indicators. What we also like to do is weekly update. Again, in the same format, but in terms of the weekly charts, they give you the really big levels. You can see the wood from the trees, so to speak, when you look at the charts. And if the weekly levels back up the daily levels, that makes the daily level more important to us. Okay, so the weekly report also summarizes the big fundamentals, any news coming up, etc., that could impact on the charts. So let's see the weekly report. We've got monthly levels as well. Again, if the monthly levels back up the weekly and the daily levels, then that's going to be a firm level on the chart. So this is really helping us keep down the number of trend lines that we actually put on the chart, which I think is the right way to go. Now, in terms of sentiment, our favourite report is the CFTC Net Traders. We will always look at this in relation to pairs. Sometimes it will give us nothing in terms of what we should do on a chart. Other times it will really give us clues to where the chart might go, and it's particularly giving us clues at the moment in USD, JPY and the AUD, USD. Now, in terms of in the member centre, there are other areas as well, trading tips and so forth. But in terms of the techniques, what we like to do is, obviously trade them ourselves, and not just trade them ourselves, but show people the levels that we are using, so people can just track and see, how we do with the techniques. And I think, in terms of, I'm not a fan of following other traders at all. I don't think you can do that. But I think if you watch someone trade and they can make techniques work, gives you confidence that the techniques actually do work, and then you can put your own slant on them and trade them in your own way. And the techniques are basically adaptable to long-term trading, shorter-term trading, different levels of risk tolerance. You see us do a 50-50 bank, for example, on trades. Other traders might not want to do that. It's all personal preference, really. But everything in terms of our analysis is probability-based. No prediction at all. It's all probability, and we're normally looking for a pair to go one way. So we set our view, set our levels, then we see what happens. That's just a brief overview of our member centre and how we do the daily analysis. I'll be back after that very short review of our member centre and basically what I'm up to today in terms of my charts. Now, in terms of the charting, you'll see there it is very, very simple. Okay, and in terms of a lot of technical analysis that is taught, or the majority, way too complicated. It's all sort of textbook nonsense to me. Just research yourself a simple probability-based strategy. You'll do just fine. Someone did write to me though and say, you do a lot of fundamental analysis, to back up the charts. You've got an economics degree. Is that something I would need to do it? The answer is no. I've got an economics degree, but it's absolutely no use in terms of me helping work out fundamentals in relation to the technicals. What I'm really looking at is the sentiment of traders towards the fundamentals, how far they've discounted and so forth. Same with news events. you can do that just by questioning everything you read. Never take any sort of view in the media, no matter who it comes from, and not question it. It's just very important to question things and try and be contrary to the majority. The majority are always going to lose. I hate being in trades that everyone likes. Well, I don't hate it. Sometimes I'll do it. Majority of the time, I want to be contrary. Now, in terms of Curtis Faith, obviously I mentioned him earlier on. He was the most successful of the turtles. And I think that turtle experiment, for people getting started in the markets, really, if you study it, you can see, that you can win. Okay, really puts confidence into you. So I strongly recommend you go and read Faith's excellent book on the experiment, which is called The Way of the Turtle. Also, go and read his other book, which is Trading Instincts. The book is fantastic because it shows you how simple Forex trading is and how to get really the right mindset, keep things simple. It just really elaborates on what I'm saying in this video. So those are two excellent books for any beginners to go and read. They won't cost you much money either. You get both for under $20, I think. Now, in terms of Faith, he's done some excellent quotes. I've done them in one of my previous videos, which not many people saw actually. But in terms of the quotes, if you read the quotes, understand them, you'll see what it takes to achieve success and have total confidence and belief that you can do it. So I hope you enjoy the quotes. They're coming up now. Thank you for watching me as usual. Take care. Have a good day.